Important to note, President Biden does nothing at 9 a.m.
The ninth best performer year to date is SVB Financial. Don't you want? This company's a merchant bank with a deposit base that Wall Street has been mistakenly concerned about.
Because I look at someone like you, and I can't imagine anybody disliking you.
Oh, please.
I was a senior in high school.
Did we lose the intro?
I think we did. What happened? Did you cut it off?
I didn't cut it off. Let's try this again.
All right.
Let's try it one more time. Boomer moment. We never had this happen before. Watch it be Spencer's. Spencer, worst producer in the world.
Important to note, President Biden does nothing at 9 a.m.
The ninth best performer year to date is SVB Financial.
Wow, I have no idea what happened there.
What happened there again? How did that?
Is anybody? Are we even connected?
Is it? Yeah. Are we live?
Are we live? Is it? Is this thing on?
Hello. Thank you. Good night.
All right. Hello.
Good night,
everybody.
Hello. Good night.
I worked so hard on that intro.
I'm sure you did. And
this is why we need a standard intro. I am going to lobby Congress for this to make an intro for me on behalf of the American taxpayer. Let's just get into the show. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
What's going on, Habibis? I'm Siraj Hashmi.
I'm Jay Kobbe.
And we're the
on Rumble, Chestnut. Sadly, you're live.
Sadly, you're live. Thank you, Janice, for letting us know that we're
live.
That we're live. So today is Tuesday, March 14th, in the year of Allah 2023. And this is
Blowjobs and steak day. Don't forget to get your blowjobs and steak kings.
Yeah, but make sure you get the pie beforehand, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. It's pie day.
That's right. It's pie day. So
cream pies, blowjobs, and steak. You can't.
And March Madness. And March Madness. And I actually have to add that link.
There is no more guy day than today.
This is the gayest guy day ever.
I know, because I'm going to give you a cream pie later.
Oh, hell yeah. And you're going to celebrate our king while we do it. New merch just came in. New merch just came in. In the link below, premium store. You can get one of yours. It's so comfy. It makes really your nipple. It makes your nipples really feel good. And I like this shirt so much I don't want to take it off, which should be honestly a pretty big boon for all of you Habibis who are tuning in. Because as soon as we turn off the YouTube stream and just keep it solely on Rumble, that's when the shirts come off.
Yeah,
essentially.
100%.
But before I get into everything tonight, Jay, because this is obviously a crazy week, we didn't do a cold open this week simply because we've been all over the place. In fact, I've been traveling. I had to go to Pensacola for a funeral. I had to then go to Vegas for work. And Jay, you had to deal with a colleague of yours passing away. And man, last week sucked.
It was pretty bad. Last week was pretty horrible.
Last week was pretty awful.
It wasn't fun. And my life savings went bust. I mean, it's not good.
Yeah, we'll get into the life savings bit because nobody cares about that, Jay. Nobody cares about your life savings going bust. But in order to actually win back some of your life savings, you should join our Habibi March Madness pool, which I swear to God, if I don't get the link to that soon, I am going to fire one of our producers, and it's going to be both of them, Spencer and Ben.
I think
Ben isn't even a producer. Ben says he might be a producer, but in actuality, he is just a glorified intern.
Right. He's one of our diverse hires.
Exactly. And you can't say that we're ableist because we hired Ben.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that's the reason why we did.
And it's not because he's in a wheelchair. It's just because he's retarded.
Right. I mean, we hired him so we can say the hard R.
Exactly. Hard R. Wait, what?
Retard.
Okay. Man, that was close. No, I'm trying to promote this Habibi March Madness pool, and I'm doing such a great job at it that I've been meandering about it for the last like 5 minutes. But here we go. I'm actually adding it to the link to the description because I'm obviously I'm very prepared. I'm ill prepared for this interview, Jay.
No, you're ill prepared.
I'm ill prepared.
Lady, you're ill prepared for this interview.
So Jay, while I add that, go and talk about some shit. Tell us about your weekend.
I need to understand like what March Madness is. So it's nothing like football fantasy, right? It's not that. What you do is you pick
the complete opposite
college basketball teams to win it all, right?
Right.
All right. So the person who wins the March Madness is the person who gets the most wins at the end. So like, for example, let's say I picked Oral Anal Robertson to
Oral. Yes.
Very
so nice.
If they win it all, but I only had every other bracket lost, but they're the only ones that made it to the end. Do I still win?
So you basically, this is how it works. You get a certain amount of points per correct prediction. And so for this particular case, so say for like, for example, like the round of 64, for every correct pick, you get like 2 points, 1 or 2 points. And then as it progresses, you get to like around the 32, it's like 4 points for every correct one. Then it's like 8 points for like Sweet 16. And then something like that, like 12 or however many points. It's arbitrary. Basically, though, if you don't pick the right ones in the beginning and you have them going deep, then basically you're fucked on points.
Got it. So what you're telling me to do is just pick the teams with the most black people on them.
No. In college, you actually have to pick the ones with the most white people on them.
White people in college?
Yeah, because contrary to popular opinion, it's actually white basketball players in college who play better than blacks. This is science. We have a college student. We have a college student currently. Our producer, one of our producers, Spencer Sachs, is a college student. Spencer, can you confirm?
I am indeed a college student.
Get the fuck out of here, Spencer. You're fired.
Yeah, and Carl is on here saying I'm the most illiterate man in America in sports, which is true. And the funny thing is, in our, and I was gonna say Final Fantasy, but in our fantasy league, I am 4-0 against this dude. I am
against Carl.
He hasn't beat me once. And Carl, last football fantasy, I got what, third place or second place, meaning I don't owe you any money. You can just use the money that I won from that into the March Madness, and then whatever I owe left for the next football fantasy, I'll pay.
Yeah. So $10 buy-in for Habibi March Madness pool. Sign up and then send Carl, aka was it at None the Wiser 85. He's actually in the Rumble chat right now. Go and harass him. None the Wiser 85. We actually on our Discord server. And this is the plug for our locals. So if you join our locals community, habibibros.locals.com, there's actually a promo in the description where if you use the promo code Jen Rubens 42069, or just click on the link in the description of this video, you get a 2-month free trial on a year worth subscription. Also, and this is the tie-in with Carl, we specifically we give you access to our Habibi Discord server where we have a specific channel where we only harass Carl. Right, Jay?
Yes. And it's called Tagging Carl. So
yes.
when you
we literally
just go
no
in.
post is allowed. No post is allowed to be on there without tagging Carl.
You got to tag Carl first.
And you also have to tell Carl that he's a bitch.
Yes.
So, what are you working on, Jay? You getting distracted on me?
I'm calling him a bitch. I'm tagging him, calling him
perfect,
a bitch on the Discord.
What else did we miss? There was also go ahead and follow us on Twitter, and we have our Twitter handles right here at Siraj Hashmi Jay. You can find him on Twitter at Aslick, and that is actually his actual handle at Aslick and ASS.
I was trying to get one of my 12 other ones unbanned, but they still will not unban me.
Brother
Musk will
Elon
still not unban any of my accounts.
This is the biggest tell that Elon's a traitor. He wouldn't unban Jay's 14 other accounts.
Nope, none of them.
Terrible.
They're all I've tried repeatedly, and they're like, nope. Your other one incited hate, and honestly, it was because Seth Mandel. He's the one.
Seth Mandel.
It was originally Seth Mandel. He's the one who outed me and then got me banned.
You know, his wife just published a book that she's getting a lot of hate for.
Yeah, her and
Carol Markowitz.
Did it. Yeah, Carl Markowitz and her. They both released a book, and there was a chapter on it about wokeism. Mm-hmm. And that's really where they're getting a lot of hate on it for, because of woke. And the new thing that the left likes to do is like, oh, define woke then. Define what woke is.
How would you define woke, Jay?
I would define it as a trash ideology that has been infecting a lot of colleges and work diversity departments, claiming to be for diversity and for equality and all of that kind of stuff, when in reality what it is an ideology based on a hierarchy of victimization, where the more victimized minority groups you can claim you're a part of, the more right you are in order to be in discussions and in higher levels of management or higher levels of academia or any of that kind of stuff. Like your voice has higher value the more victimhood you can claim compared to everything else.
The more boxes you can check off. Yeah, exactly. I mean, like it is a kind of a nebulous term. It's kind of hard to pin down. Although I know many gay men who tried to pin me down. Jay was the only one who was successful.
Right. I mean, you don't really have to try hard. You're pretty much
true.
A fucking slut.
I am pretty weak. And also I'm kind of I'm pretty much asking for it. No, I mean, like, this is actually like a great segue to what our initial topic is, and that is about the banks that the banking crisis that you're seeing happen right now. Wokeism, to me, and I heard, I think a lot of people heard this term about a decade or so ago, and it was all about it was a sort of a I wouldn't say come to Jesus moment for a lot of like people on the left, but it was like the ideology that woke people up on the left to realize just how problematic they are. Like any one of their behaviors that they've been doing, it was designed to sort of like give them a check. Like it was a vibe check against like what I call awfuls. Are you familiar with the term awfuls, Jay?
No.
Affluent, white, feminist, urban liberals. Awfuls. I don't know if I came up with that term or not, but this is like, I think I saw affluent. I think I one time saw AWFL. I was like, why don't we just throw a U in there as well? Mm-hmm. Make it awful. It's because they're awful. No,
I like it. They are.
Affluent, white, feminist, urban liberals. These are the people who specifically lecture you about how racist you are without you realizing, literally doing nothing, just like going to the store, waiting in line, picking up your kids from school. You're fucking racist because you just because you're breathing, really. So
no, if you are white under this, and then in wokeism, then you're automatically considered a racist bigot, and your voice is not as valuable as everyone else's.
Teacher, have one.
Yes,
I got one.
Yes,
I got one.
Yes,
thank you. It's also thank you, Habibi. Wokeism is also about a specific set of definitions relating to race and identity. And any like interpretation, if you like put on the woke glasses, like when it comes to racism, specifically, it blocks out any racism, any acts of racism committed by anyone who's not white. So only white people can be racist, and everyone else not racist. So that includes
and
blacks,
that's why
Hispanics, Asians, you name it. None of them can be racist.
That's why you can have white people on the left calling people like Clarence Thomas a Uncle Tom and not be considered racist because they believe in the ideology of wokeism. So somebody who is on the right of Clarence Thomas, who states a different belief, as in saying Black people are not oppressed in the United States. Black people can make it in the United States. Black people can
make even that suggestion canceled.
Yeah, it's canceled. Or saying the place where it starts is within the family, the culture, all that kind of stuff will get you canceled automatically. You cannot state any of these things. It's not the case. It's not the case that Black people have a 75 percentile single mother rate. It's not the case that they have this culture of believing that they're oppressed completely in the United States, that they have no ability to make it whatsoever, and that people who do make it, the only reason why they do is because they do their dance for the white man, and that's it. No Black person has any autonomy within the culture of the United States. That's
under that definition.
Yes.
So
the essence of it.
It's actually kind of strange how, I mean, like, I don't disagree with your analysis that like for under the current like culture and climate that we're in, if you are of a particular non-white race or ethnicity, there's no acceptance of you having beliefs of your own or ideas or thoughts of your own. You specifically have to fall in line. You have to toe the line, essentially.
100%.
And do what it is they say that you are allowed to do. So the autonomy point, that's on point. Anyways, that leads us into this discussion of this episode, the banking crisis. You have 3 banks now, right? 3? Is it 3 now? Up to 3?
It is Signature Bank. SVB was the first one. Signature Bank was the second one. I'm not sure about the third.
I thought it was First Republic Bank. Is that not?
No, that's not. No, they're not in salt. They were set. There was a scare for them for sure, but no, they're not. They're not insolvent. All
right, so we're now at 2 banks.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So Silicon Valley Bank, and then
the 16th largest bank in the United States overall, and the second largest bank to fail within the United States. Only under Washington Mutual, which was at like Washington 310 billion assets, and they failed. And then here with SVB, it's like around $210 billion worth of assets that have failed.
Absolutely wild. Absolutely wild. I'd like to show you a clip from Jim Cramer talking about
this was
a month ago.
Yeah,
this was last month.
Like on the 8th of February.
Talking about Silicon Valley Bank. Take a look at this. Hold on. Let me make sure you can hear it. Do it.
Did you check the little box?
I did. I checked it. I made sure I checked it.
The 9th best performer year to date is SVB
You can hear it, right?
Financial.
You can hear it?
Yes.
Okay. By the way, I don't think I've heard Jim Cramer talk in a long time. And
it's so strange to hear him talk. Like, he has such a bad list. I think it's because of all the drugs he's done and Botox and stuff on his lips and everything. You can hear a horrible lisp from his
honestly, I don't know why I'm thinking this, because maybe I'm just like jaded by Patrick Mahomes, but he sounds kind of like Kermit the Frog. Let's just listen to this.
The 9th best performer year to date is SVB Financial. Don't you want? This company's a merchant bank with a deposit base that Wall
Okay, I was wrong. He doesn't sound like Kermit the Frog at all.
Street have been mistakenly concerned about. SVB is the old Silicon Valley Bank. Recently bought one of our favorite research firms, Moffett Nathanson, and it's become less dependent upon private equity and venture capitalist offerings. wait a second, those dried up last year, they could come back. Yeah, some of them come back here, but the stock directly affects an oversold position. Stock was the fourth worst performer in 2022.
I'm honestly thinking, Jay, that he's like Jennifer Rubin if she went into finance.
That's what Jim Cramer is like. It is insane, and the Twitter handle that this video is a part of is dedicated to this guy when he talks about stock. Just Jim Cramer, because he will talk about stock like Tesla stock. He's like, oh, this is a great time to buy now, and then it drops like $50 to $150,
69%,
and then he's like. And then he goes, all right, this is a great time to sell. And then it jumps up at $300.
All right, let's watch the rest of this clip. I don't know. I look, I'm not the biggest financial guy. I know a guru. I know Jay is much better on this than I am. So let's watch the rest of this. And Jay, you tell me what he's saying. All right.
I think the fears were not justified. It's a very compelling situation. Hey, by the way, long-term private equity and venture capital, they're not going away. Being the banker to these immense pools of capital has always been a very good business. Stock's still cheap. Now, you have to remember that a stock that falls 66%, like SVB Financial did last year, it takes it a lot more to recover. After losing 2/3 of your value, you need a 200% gain to get back to even. This is arithmetic. Some people call it.
Oh, look at that. Chiron says Kramer on the bounce backs in the top 10 stocks of 2023.
Which is true. I mean, it is absolutely fucking amazing. Him trying to, and this just goes to show, like, honestly, everybody that's watching here, anyone who is watching this stuff, you have any person like Jim Cramer or any of these online gurus that try to tell you that they know how to read these charts. They know how to predict any kind of shortfalls or gains or when the dip's going to happen or anything, are full of shit. They're all full of shit. This is all gambling. That's why they always say this is not financial advice in the beginning of their fucking videos in order for them to be scapegoated from this type of shit.
Yeah, not scapegoat. They can evade basically any lawsuits, basically.
Right. Nobody has a full grasp on the stuff that goes on, and we'll get into it even deeper. But go ahead.
Yeah, I feel like we could just do the whole episode about this particular story because there's so many different angles here. Right. Which actually may happen, but the intro, it showed a lot of stories about like Biden.
The intro that people were able to actually watch.
Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna play the intro at the very end of this episode so that people can actually see what's happening. Maybe, I don't know. Let's just play.
Geometry. So you could argue SVB's nearly 40% rally this year is barely a drop in the bucket. And that's how I want you to think it. I think it's also a good example of why these bounce back moves might be far from over. These stocks could have more room to run, especially if you think they were driven down to artificially low levels by tax loss selling, artificial dumping.
I just like to note here that of all the companies he has on here, he did mention Tesla. Meta, you didn't mention Meta, but
no, he did because
no. I'm saying you, Jay did not mention Meta.
I would.
You did mention Tesla. That went down tremendously. Meta is another one of his picks that's really been suffering. They had massive layoffs.
They just had another. So in the beginning of the year, they had a massive 5,000 employee layoff and a huge freeze in hiring, and they dumped a lot of positions that they were hiring for. And just I would say yesterday, for people who are watching this live on Tuesday, March 14th, yesterday, they laid off another 10,000 employees.
Holy shit. Wow. That's 10,000?
Another 10,000 employees.
Insane. So while we talk more about this, I'm just going to let our audience on YouTube know that we are going to end the stream on YouTube. So go ahead.
Go get another drink.
Jay's going to get another drink. So you come and join us on Rumble. I don't know why did I close out YouTube? I thought I had it open. God, I'm such a boomer. What is wrong with me? Anyways, come join us on Rumble. There's a link in the description if you're watching on YouTube. Full episodes right there. And we will see you momentarily as soon as I figure out how to turn off the YouTube stream, which I don't know how to do because as I said before, I'm quite the boomer. Jay, I still haven't turned off the stream on YouTube. That's how bad I am at this.
That's okay. We all know this.
I know. Here, I'm ending the stream right now. I think I'm doing it. I think I'm doing it correctly. Thank God. All right, we did it. All right, we did it, Joe. All right. Now, normally I take off my shirt, but I'm wearing an Ernie shirt for the first time. This one came in today. I did wash it. It says Ernie is king. Well, it just says king, but you would know that Ernie is king just by looking at him. Go ahead and check out a premium store in the link in the description below.
And I'm wearing our
classic HB.
Logo.
It's beautiful. Honestly, it makes me wet.
Mm-hmm.
And it should make everyone wet.
Yes. So getting into SVP and look to Jim Cramer's
Jim fucking Cramer, man.
Yes, in his defense on all of this is he was going at it on what SVP is, on which companies use SVP, and SVP is Silicon Valley Bank. They're based out of Silicon Valley. They are the ones who have funded a lot of IPOs that came out for startups. They hold a lot of liquidity for startups, meaning their actual cash on hand was deposited into this bank, and it was a lot of startup tech companies that did it. And where they went with it, and this is where you can see that the banking system in the United States is absolutely fucking broken, because they took a lot of the deposits that came in and put them in bonds, treasury bonds.
Right.
Now,
treasury bond yields went skyrocketing, right?
Correct. So treasury bonds are supposedly the safest bet that you can put money in, because you're guaranteed a percentage back by the government within a time period. So
is it 2, 5, and 10 year?
So you can do them within those term limits. They were doing long-term limits within these bonds. So for instance, you put them in at let's say they were going to yield back a 2% yield after 5 years. Mm-hmm. So if you put in billions of dollars into this after 5 years, you're going to get 2% from these billions of dollars. Now, the issue is when a bank is doing that and they do not have the money on hand for depositors that need their money that they are entrusting you to hold, then you're going to have a run on the bank. Right. And a run on the bank means that there are more depositors asking the money than they have on hand. Right. Now, this doesn't mean that they didn't have actual assets to cover it. It just means they didn't have actual liquidity. So when they had these bonds that they rushed to go and buy at the rates that they were at, because there was higher rates of return that were happening, those bonds were not as valuable as they were when they first bought them. That means, so if they had them at 5 year yields, if they left them for 5 years until the 5 year yield, they'll make money. They will actually make money from what they gave in. But because depositors wanted to take out money, they had to sell them at extreme losses. Those bonds would not be bought in the market for the higher value that they bought it. So they would lose money. So let's say they bought the bonds for $150. To sell them in order to get cash on hand, they would lose $100. So they're only going to get $50 on the $150 that they put out, for example. So because that was happening at a high rate and they were trying to sell as much as they could, they were losing billions upon billions upon billions of dollars, and they had to be controlled by the Federal Reserve. That's why they stepped in. The government stepped in order to stop the bleeding.
Right.
That was happening.
So one of the things I like to point out here, and this is just along the lines of, hey, the SVB situation, the Silicon Valley Bank situation, and maybe Signature's Bank as well. A lot of speculation. Again, we can't really confirm that any of this is the case because there's no transparency on it. We don't know. We don't have the financial reports because they're never disclosed. These banks, in particular, I think SVB was sold as well as Signature Bank were sold, or at least were bought by other banks. When
you are investing in bonds and stuff, and that's where it all gets screwy as well, is that you do not have to show on your books these losses because they're supposed to get a return on these long-term bonds. It's not considered a loss on the books. Mm-hmm. So when the Federal Reserve is stepping in and they're having to have these banks default on these bonds, the Federal Reserve is now sitting on all these losses. If you look at the loss sheet on the Federal Reserve, it is absolutely fucking mind-boggling that the banking system hasn't collapsed so far. And I think it's going like we're going to go tits up. We're getting to the point where people are actually being able to see that we are on such a fragile system. Because of printing money, because of having a central banking system the way that we have it here, to entrust them to be able to account for all of the depositors' money. Yeah. It's going to break. It really is, because then the as we get further into this, like the message the federal government and the Federal Reserve is sending to bankers out there and to banks out there is that no matter what you do with depositors' money, no matter how risky you are with them, you have a safety net of our printing machine.
So the Federal Reserve, the FDIC, it's the Federal Depositors Insurance Company. Is that what it is? Or or commission, whatever it is. They insure up to $250,000 in all depositors' money. And so what the Biden administration did was say, we are going to insure all depositors' monies. Now, usually that doesn't happen, Jay. And there are many things. Again, we were talking about some of the speculation a minute ago, and before you got into your collegiate lecture, which, by the way, if you're a college student and you're watching the Habibi Power Hour, probably the best economics education you get right here is from a guy named Asslickin. I'm just saying, you don't learn more about economics than you do from Asslickin. Essentially,
absolutely right, 100%.
There's been some discussion about what constitutes being a woke bank, and we were talking about wokeism earlier, right? So SVB in particular, if you've been following along, in March of 2023, that's reported by the Federalist. Now you take that with a grain of salt. Said this headline reads that Silicon Valley Bank pledged nearly $74 million to Black Lives Matter causes. On the next screenshot we have from Daily Mail. Again, also take everything with a grain of salt. Only one. Actually, this is true, but it's not just the Daily Mail. Don't say take it with a grain of salt just because Daily Mail's reporting is actually factually correct. Only one Silicon Valley Bank board member had career in investment banking. The rest were Obama and Clinton mega donors. Next up, we have from Just the News saying, as losses mount, Silicon Valley Bank doubled down on woke investments and left-wing rhetoric. And then finally, this is from Signature Bank, I think. Advancing women, Black, and Latinx individuals to positions of influence in the innovation economy. This is a specific quote from Dave Salvant, who is Square Technologies co-founder and president. I guess that's someone who does banking with Signature Bank or SVB. He is quoted as saying, "It was risky, but no risk, no reward," about his past experiences that led him to starting a software company that helps barbershops grow their businesses. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't basically such a thing as, a woke investment, but it's a data point, and these data points start to connect. And when you connect the dots, and you start to see, like, hey, if they're telling you that a bank is not woke, like if you have a corporate media telling you that a bank is not woke and that they're the Biden administration loosening guidelines on the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac lending requirements, not based on like whether you're able to pay back the loans, whether you have a good credit score, based on your income. No, they're basing handing out all these mortgages and all these loans on completely immutable characteristics, like whether you chopped your dick off or not, or chopped your tits off or not.
Well, that's not an immutable characteristic.
Okay, sorry. Hold on, Jay.
I have to hold on. I have to.
I was destined to cut my dick off. Okay.
You were. So being because this is important. Being trans is not an immutable characteristic.
Okay, sorry. All right, I went off the I just wanted to say chopping off my dick and chopping off my breasts, okay?
But what
I just
you
wanted to go to that. But like skin color, ethnicity.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, skin color, ethnicity, basically, gender, whatever it is that you use specifically, quote unquote.
Male or female, yes.
Male or female.
But trans in of itself
trans is not a gender.
It's not an immutable characteristic.
It's not. No, it's not.
It is a complete choice.
We got a Rumble rant from Fitzy, a motherfucking cent, $10, saying,
"Hell yeah,
thank you, Fitzy. I appreciate that." He's I recognize him from Twitter. He says, "Do you think Ukraine could bail out our banks with all the money they have?" I don't see why not.
All the money we gave them. Shit. Maybe they probably could. Holy shit! We already gave them hundreds of billions of dollars, but back to your case of
immutable lending based on immutable characteristics.
And diversity hires as well is there was a viral screenshot of one of the hires at SVP. I forget what her name is, who was talking about, and it was supposedly a risk manager, and she was talking about how, her main goal is to talk about queerness and like how she's proud to be queer and all of this type of garbage compared to like actual characteristics or things that matter within banking, like for example how much experience she has within the banking industry, or how much experience she has within risk management and everything. Because if you had actual risk managers within it, they would be able to assess and allow you to understand how much money you're going to want to put in bonds, how much money you need to have on hand, how much the risk on if you put a 5-year bond on this, even though you're going to get like a high rate of return, like actual risk management experience when it comes to this stuff. And that is where people who are claiming wokeness and everything need to hit on. They need to hit on what these people were proud to announce of themselves in comparison what their job requirement needed to be. You being gay or queer or whatever the fuck does not matter when it comes to being in a position of a risk manager, when it comes to investments or becoming a banker or any of these other positions.
Yeah, completely irrelevant.
None of that fucking matters. None of it does. You can. I mean, good for you. You like to suck dick, get fucked in the ass, eat ass, whatever. Although
can you pay back these loans? Can you pay back these loans, and can you pay them back without sucking my dick?
That's where the things fucking matter. That is where it matters. Not any of these other things. You tell me you're black, I don't give a shit. Can you manage the books?
Right.
I don't care if you say you're Asian, white, or if you're a trans, whatever the fuck, or if you're gay. Doesn't matter to me when it comes to what it is you're supposed to do within that position. The only thing that matters when you're trying to talk about yourself when it comes to these positions is what you can do in that position.
Jay, I just got to say this, okay? Because, a lot of people think this is going to sound, a little out there, but maybe we should just go back to the days where Jews controlled the banks. I'm going to talk to my wife after this.
Hold on. The first comment, the first comment on Rumble. Hold on. The first comment on Rumble. The Israel branch of SVB had 7 hours to drain the bank of $1 billion cash before Americans. Who leaked that information? Why should Americans pay the entire cost of failure?
Amazing. Dan from last night on Rumble says, I'm out here typing full paragraphs, and then I look over on the locals premium chat, and this motherfucker is literally typing out full paragraphs.
Oh, we're not going to read that.
And we're not going to read them out loud. Thank you for your contribution, Dan.
I'm sorry for what's going on in your life, but I'm not reading all that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm either real happy for you or damn, that sucks. Oh, man, God.
It is so funny that we're talking about this type of stuff right now when, like 6 years ago, people in the media were trying to say, like, why are you talking about this? This is only in college. This is not happening in the real world.
About wokeism, you mean, right?
Yeah, about wokeism, when that is not the case. Like, we are seeing that happening right now. I mean, we have been seeing it happen in the past 4 years. I mean, it was at the crust of the Trump presidency that we were seeing it actually come into play within the tech community, within companies in the tech community, within journalism and all of that kind of stuff, where you see this wokeism ideology happening across the board. And it is a huge cause for concern because we see how much of a failure it is. It is an absolute failure.
Right.
That thinking diversity of immutable characteristics matters more than diversity of thought, matters more of diversity of experience, matters more of diversity of expertise. That is all garbage.
That's all thrown out the window because of this shit.
100%. I would rather have a diversity of experience. I can have one race. I can have all black people having all diverse experience within the industry to make sure I have a full-fledged goal of succeeding, compared to just giving a shit about their skin color and whether or not they suck dick in order for my company to succeed. It doesn't translate to the real world. Diversity of immutable characteristics is not your strength. Diversity of expertise, thoughts, opinions to grow, to better yourself is where it's more important.
Dan on locals, Dan from last night says, just trying to help Jay. I know he's illiterate though. Let me actually read what he said in the locals chat, since he actually wrote like full on paragraphs, but I'm going to try to be as quick about it as I can. Treasury bonds are extremely safe. The problem that SVB ran into is that intense interest rates shot up. When interest rates increase, the value of bonds issued at a lower rate goes down a lot, but they're fine if they could keep them through maturity. And then he said, yeah, Jay is pretty spot on, but it was a liquidity problem that turned into a capitalization problem because they were forced to sell. And you can only claim
exactly what I was saying. Look, Dan,
he said you were right.
Just because you hear what I speak into your mother's ass doesn't mean you have more information or more of an expert than I am. I mean, it's secondhand anal listening. That is what's happening here.
This is the death of expertise. Tom Bitch to Nichols would be very proud. Very, very, very proud. So Dan continues on saying, you only claim bonds as a capital loss if you sell at a loss. Bonds are low rate of return, but consistent rate. That's why they're safe. The real problem we're seeing here is bank reserve limits, which is currently set at 0%. Yeah. And then he goes on to say, but I know it's easy to dunk on woke bullshit, but like, I think this is more of a class issue than a libtard issue. We're talking Bear Stearns and Lehman Brothers alumni getting bailed out by way of the Biden administration. We essentially raiding the FDIC for funds for uninsured depositors in a similar vein to them raiding the oil reserves. And then he finally says, libs love to gamble the future on short-term wins. Let's be real, though. This is the rich protecting the rich. It's always a bailout for the elite and tough shit. That's just the market when it happens to regular people. Absolutely which brings us to bailouts for the rich.
That's that, and it's absolutely true. What we're seeing here happening right now is 100% a bailout for the rich. Essentially,
and this actually from the Intercept, Ken Klippenstein, who he's a lefty guy, but he's an interesting follow. And
no, he is. And the thing is like the shoehorn like theory of things is happening. The thing is like there's a lot of stuff that we can actually be united on in comparison to others. But there is one thing that people like Ken that there's never an acceptance on, and that is when it comes to the ideology of LGBT2 plus Q plus whatever the fuck anything ever whatever that can be unified, because there is a thought that centralizing, where Ken comes from, is centralizing banks, centralizing education, and centralizing this ideology of transism and gender and all this type of stuff cannot you cannot unify people on this. Like the class issue you can. There's a class issue and there's a real and class issue.
If people actually knew, if people knew there was actually a class issue, that most things that are happening right now are based on like as Bhatia once said on our show, is a class issue, not necessarily a race issue or a left-right issue.
Or a left-right issue, right. That is absolutely fucking true. And when it comes to our financial system and it comes to our banking institutions and everything, it is really 100% a class issue, essentially.
So this brings me to the Intercept's Ken Klippenstein, putting out this article actually earlier today, March 14th, in the year of Allah 2023, with the title "Cheering Silicon Valley Bank Bailout." Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, doesn't mention that he's actually a client, and that 3 of the governor's wine companies are held by SVB, and a bank president sits on the board of his wife's charity. So when you see that, and we don't have to get into like all the nitty gritty about it, but you just see, this is not coming from. This is not coming from like the Daily Caller or like Washington Free Beacon or National Review. This comes from the Intercept. This is a publication that Glenn Greenwald founded that pretty much employs, for the most part, a lot of left of center to liberal, full on lefty journalists. And them going after Gavin Newsom kind of shows you, for a lot of these people on the left, they're just as sick of it as the rest of us. And I think I think Ken probably gets it. I don't agree with all of his solutions, but I think he's good at identifying the problem. And that's something that we probably share more consensus on. And that is that the elites, specifically the neoliberal elites within the establishment, within neoconservative, well, I don't even know if I could call them neoconservative, but the establishment includes establishment Democrats and establishment Republicans, who basically keep a firm grip on power by running shit. If you want to talk about like the theories that come to mind with this entire banking crisis, you could either look at it as the federal government forcing a transfer of power to another entity to either centralize these banks and make them fall under one particular, say, more powerful bank. And also, it's all about protect. In addition to the bailout, you have the elites protecting the elites, or the bailouts for the rich, simply through information, not so much from the financial side. Because as we mentioned before, and I think Jay probably elaborated it better than I did, you can essentially hide those records from the public because there's no auction. There's no way to really ascertain like their loss sheet, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there are so many different theories out there, and obviously do your research and figure out what we're just putting the dots and try to connect them as best as we can. I think Jay though has done a pretty tremendous job. You really should put on your resume, besides eating ass, that you're like an economics guru or professor, or just
I mean, it is just absolutely fucking hilarious when we come into the economics of what's going on here. Is they're saying that the only way to slow inflation is to to raise interest rates.
Right.
And the problem with raising interest rates is that you are lowering the buying power of 90% of the people who go out and actually buy shit. And that it means the people who go and purchase stuff on their credit cards. That is people who go, and that's another thing we're going to see damage the economy as well, is because we raise these interest rates, and the inflation is causing damage to people's buying power, is that they are putting more stuff on their credit card. So when you raise interest rates and people are putting more stuff on their credit cards, it means that they have a higher payment that they are going to need to do on their credit cards, car loans if they go get a new car, and also being able to purchase mortgages and get homes, and then also personal loans. So when these things are happening and people are not able to pay back all of this credit that they are receiving from banks, what's going to happen when you're having this historic rate of car buyers, for example, who are defaulting on their car loans, historic rate of credit card debt that people are only going to be able to either pay back on the minimum payment, or even not pay back the credit card at all. Where's the bank going to be able to recuperate this money? And what we're seeing with SVP is that the fact that if all of this stuff is being defaulted on, not being paid back on, the Federal Reserve is going to recuperate those damages. And the only way the Federal Reserve does that is by printing more money. And what does that do? Raise inflation rate.
Yeah, raises inflation. We talked, I think, at length about this. God, we spent like about 45 minutes just talking about this one single topic. Before we move on, boy, do I have a treat for you. Hold on. Let me make sure I didn't mute this. I did mute it. All right, let's unmute it.
No, it's not muted.
Hold up. Oh, God damn it, Siraj.
Oh, my God, sir.
How did I do this? I was just trying to rewind back.
Why was it? Oh, my God. And
why am I watching ads?
Why was it troll porn? Hentai troll porn. It was hentai troll porn for like a second.
Is that what you're saying this is? Why is this running so slow for me? God damn it. Why are there a bunch of fucking Vikings in New York City?
What is happening right now?
This is just beautiful.
I'm 3 drinks in as well. More than that.
What's that?
I'm like 5 drinks in.
Good. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not entirely sure if this is the right one. It is. It is the right one. Let's fast forward. Oh, come on. Oh, why is this so piss poor at loading?
Now that you're in signature, come on, let your colors burst. Make them go up, up, up. Your big bank days were long ago.
All right. So for
Tucker
people
Carlson
to know.
Tucker Carlson stole my bit. Okay.
Hold on. Wait a second, because people don't know what the fuck is going on. This was a commercial from Signature Bank, being proud of being diverse.
Yeah, this was posted 11 years ago.
11. Oh my god.
When Katy Perry's Firework was hot. Speaking of how this is just absolutely oh hell yeah material. I don't know why it keeps freezing. This is
because it's an 11-year-old fucking video, maybe.
You think? Well, do you think it's that, or because of the actual like?
And it's only got like 40 up likes.
It needs more. Kenan Hodges on Local says, Siraj, have you seen the latest oh hell yes submissions, or did you forget your Discord login, you boomer? I haven't. I certainly haven't caught up to it, if that's what you're wondering. I feel like we would probably have to share that during the list stream this week. So we'll put that behind us for now, because there's actually some things that Jay and I have been dying to talk about, because this is our first episode in the month of March. That's 2 full weeks of not posting any Habibi Power Hour content. And we'd like to open up because, and we're an hour into the stream almost, but basically, fucking A, Jesse Single, he fucking deleted his account.
What?
Oh, I knew he was going to do this. I didn't know he was going to do this just now.
Why did hold on. Why did he delete his account?
I don't fucking know.
What? You said you knew he was going to do this. Why?
Yeah, he said he was. I didn't know. I thought he was just going to leave it dormant. I didn't realize he was actually going to delete the shit.
Why did he? Man, people are going to like rally.
All right, let me see if I can find it on his Substack. God damn it. Why would you do this to me, Jesse? I feel Jesse. What is my email for this? God damn it. All right. Hey, can you give me the lay of the land here? Basically, this recent story about these 4 European countries where they basically discovered that.
Well, I also sent I think I sent links to the group chat, but
yeah, and I think it was all Jesse Single stuff.
It might have been. Hold on, let me make another drink. I'll be right back.
Of course. Okay. Let me see if I can find this. Maybe this from 4 days ago. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I don't think it matters. Maybe it matters. Fuck me. Oh.
So basically, there has been I would like to say a revaluation on youth trans. Look, fucking hate this shit too, because the thing is, there is no youth trans. There is no kid who is trans.
Trans youth.
There's no trans youth. There's no kid who's trans. All this type of stuff is absolute garbage. But
hold on,
there is
what
one
would you
thing
define as youth? Because like if you're over the age of say 18 and you have full
look,
autonomy.
if you're 25 years old and you're going to go chop off your body parts and all that kind of stuff, more power to you. I don't give a fuck. all that kind of stuff. But when you're coming to me and you're telling me that a 9-year-old can decide whether or not he is male or female, it is garbage. Because even when you are 25 years old and you're chopping your dick off, you are still not female. You're still not a woman. You're still not any of these things. So there is no
you are given
way,
one X chromosome. You're given one X chromosome.
There's no way you can go and say that being trans is an immutable characteristic, because that's not true. That is not what those things mean.
Okay,
that is
all
not
right.
what
So
words
rather
mean.
than debate the semantics of it, let's actually just talk about.
It's not a semantic. To me, it's not semantics, because it's actual like fact in reality. Like that's the huge difference. It's not. We're not talking about semantics here. We're talking about this person is choosing
semantics.
Whatever. This person is choosing to chop their dick off at an adult age. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
That's their choice and all that kind of stuff. But
right.
You cannot say that they were always born to be a woman and all that kind of stuff, because that's not true. All of that kind of stuff is not true.
Okay, so
in reality, that's not true.
Getting to the meat and potatoes of the story. Basically, what we were trying to highlight was the fact that there are now 4 countries in Europe. It only says here this is from February of this year, so a month ago, that Sweden, Finland, and the UK are opposing. They're basically implementing restrictions on quote unquote gender affirming care. While they haven't done away with hormonal interventions, they are basically not going as far as what the United States is when it comes to quote unquote gender affirming care for quote unquote trans youth. What's interesting about it is that they specifically conducted, the European health authorities, they conducted systematic reviews of evidence for the benefits and risks of puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones. And then the findings of these reviews, they found that the certainty of benefits is actually very low. And that this is this is actually the evidence, the key evidence that's guided the hand of policymakers to restrict access to hormones and or puberty blockers. Right now, in these countries, minors are able to access puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones only if they meet the strict eligibility requirements as set out in the Dutch protocol, and only in the context of a tightly controlled research setting. So, Jay, is that in line of what you were trying to discuss? No,
because no. This is in line, because I thought you were going to ask like what I believe, but
no. I know where you believe.
What's happening here is that they're starting to understand that they were too aggressive, they were too accepting, and they were too progressive, if we want to use that word, in woke. Allowing children to dictate whether or not they should be put on hormone blockers or not. Because when you're
puberty blockers and hormones,
when you're talking about affirmation, gender affirmation, all this type of stuff, is that you're affirming whatever the patient is saying. So you're affirming that this 9-year-old saying that he's a girl is in fact a girl, or this 9-year-old saying she is a boy is in fact a boy.
Right.
So
you have to respect them. You have
going.
To respect. And if they say that they're a horse or a cat or a dog, you have to respect them and say that they're a horse or a cat or a dog.
That is where this affirmation is happening. And to me, like, gender affirming care is abuse. Gender affirming care is not based on reality. It's not based on science. It's not based on biology. It's not based on even psychology and in the real essence of it. Because a lot of children, they will, like, for example, Siraj, from the age of 4 all the way to the age of 36, continues to play with dolls. Doesn't mean that he is a girl. It just means he's a faggot.
Okay, I see your point.
Right. And a lot of people, especially if you follow what is his name? Andrew Sullivan. I think that's his name. He is a journalist, a renowned journalist, a renowned public
Sully Dish, right?
Solid, yes. And he's been wait, hold on. Let me get his name. Hold on.
It is Andrew Sullivan, I think.
I think it is. Yes, Andrew Sullivan. He is a gay man who has been published a lot on the New York Times. He is a liberal. Like, I'm not going to say he is anywhere on the right whatsoever. Mm-hmm. He's a strict liberal. He is a strict Biden voter, strict Democrat voter, strict all that kind of stuff. One thing he falls on is this gender debate, the trans
with respect
debate.
with respect to minors.
And well, yeah, and a lot of this stuff, look, where I'm lying and all this type of stuff is to respect with minors. Look, when you are a 36-year-old Pakistani man who plays with dolls and wants to chop his dick off, that's fine. Go do it. More power to you. That's all good. But when you're saying that this same thing applies to a child who is 10 or 9 who's playing with dolls, that is where this all falls completely off the rails.
Because most people did not have a problem with anyone in the trans community at all until they started coming after kids.
Right. So what happens here is exactly where you see what happens in places like Iran. They are transforming gay kids, for example, into women. So they're destroying these guys.
And in Pakistan. They do it in Pakistan too.
Into this stuff. And we're doing this here in the United States as well. Look, I mean, at the end of the day, anybody who wants to do whatever they want to do outside the conformity of society at the ages that they are, that's fine. Because I do the same thing. I am so far outside the conformity of society at the age that I'm in.
Well, but there are restrictions on that based on, how old you actually are.
No, there should be. Like, for example, a 16-year-old should not be able to walk in and say, chop off my healthy breasts because I believe I'm a boy. And we're seeing that at an alarming rate within the teenage girl age range here in the United States. Like, alarming. We are seeing more and more girls just chop their tits off.
Right.
And in a higher rate than we see even adolescent boys.
Yeah. So one thing, and I think we've talked about this and talked about it quite a bit, is that it's basically glorified sterilization. They found a loophole to figure out how they could sterilize as many people as they could, and then they formed an identity around it, a culture around it, a celebration around it. Anyone who chops their dick off or chops their tits off and basically switches over. There's been a skyrocketing number of people who've detransitioned and talked about sort of like how they were forced into being going on puberty blockers or going on hormones. And even when their mental health wasn't always fully up to snuff. I saw on the Rumble chat, Gray Doomer says the trans are trying to avoid suicide via murder. That is essentially, it's a very cogent point. I don't think it's the only one, but I do think that by and large, the left is so concerned about traditional families, and they're concerned about basically anyone who wants to consume at their own like pleasure, that they are basically the reason why we have 5 years left to live, which, by the way, Greta Thunberg deleted that tweet saying in 2018 that we only have 5 years before we're all going to die.
Right.
So, and a lot of this, there's a lot of different like tie-ins here. And if you think about it, like really, really think about it, and like why they're all doing this, that is like the central goal here. It is not about, trying to express like warm feelings to each other. No, it's about population control. And the only way they do that is to stop people from repopulating. And it all boils down to trying to slow the spread of, or slow climate change, so to speak. And Jay and I have talked about this stuff quite often, but I think it's very fascinating that at least in Europe, they're like, holy shit, what the fuck have we been doing with these kids?
Oh yeah. I mean, we're going to see a huge ramification here coming into the United States here in a little bit. And that's why we don't see a lot of the publications actually being open to it. I mean, New York Times tried to be, and when they tried to be, they had like places like GLAAD attack them and demonize them for even trying to discuss this in an open manner outside of the parameters of how you're supposed to discuss it, because they like to throw words out like, oh, you're being cruel. Like, for example, they attack people like Matt Walsh at the Daily Wire for being cruel when he talks about this stuff. It's not being cruel. It's not. We are discussing stuff within reality. We need to stop this idea that, being accepting to a 9-year-old who plays with dolls is a woman or is a girl. Like, this is not being cruel. This is being in the realm of reality. Like, for example,
they also went after Michael Knowles for saying that at CPAC that we need to eradicate transgenderism, meaning the ideology. And then they basically twisted his words and say that he was advocating for the genocide of trans people.
Right. And that's where they have the control over this language, because when you say, like, for example, this dude that was on Debbie Moore's what's it called on her talk show? Is her name Debbie Moore? Demi Moore. Is her name Debbie Moore? What's her name? The chick from 30 First Dates. What's her name? Demi Moore. No, not Demi Moore. What's her name? God, I just want to see more. Something more. What's her? Yeah, there we go. Drew Barrymore. Thank you.
Oh, Jay, I fucking love you so much.
So she
Demi Moore.
Drew Barrymore had this dude on here, for example, and Matt Walsh went on and went on him saying like this person is very delusional, and to celebrate this person as if he is a baskin of what a woman should be is absolute garbage. Like, this is cruel. This is cruel. To say this is a role model of women, that is what's cruel. Not the other way around.
Let's watch this clip. So this is Dylan Matthews on Drew Barrymore's show, which today I learned Drew Barrymore has a show.
Let me ask you about the negativity. How have you dealt with it? And what's an approach you take? What's your self-talk? What do you filter?
Yes.
How do you?
What's your self-talk? But what's your self-truth? What's your self-whatever? What is within your own realm of delusion? So I can affirm that for you, so I don't look like a bigot or I don't look like I'm cruel by affirming your delusion and destroying your own fucking body and life and all that kind of stuff. How are we going to sit here and pretend that this is an actual woman and pretend like that he should be celebrated as more of a woman than this stupid bitch on the other side of the couch? How are we supposed to? How are we supposed to pretend? How is Demi Moore, or I'm sorry, Drew Barrymore? Sitting there accepting the fact that she is going to be she's going to lessen herself as a woman to pretend that this man is a woman. How are we going to accept this and say that what she's doing is heroic or righteous?
Right. So here's what's funny about this, okay? Dylan Matthews is actually a very talented actor, okay? Dylan Matthews was one of the leading, had one of the leading roles in Matt Stone and Trey Parker's The Book of Mormon when he was still a man. I mean, he still is a man, but before he chopped his dick off. Now, nobody knew who Dylan Matthews was until after he chopped his dick off. It's kind of like Bane, but for people who chop their dicks off. Nobody knew who he was until he chopped his dick off. Now, everybody is celebrating Dylan Matthews simply for existing. Dylan Matthews gets all these glamorous profiles and all this attention simply for cutting his dick off. Jay, if I cut my dick off today, you know what would happen? All the Habibis would just point and laugh.
Your dad would still not be proud of you.
Well, I mean, that's besides the point, but
maybe
people who chop their dicks off.
Maybe your mom would.
Maybe my mom would. I don't know. But people who chop their dicks off, they get made fun of, okay? It's not like it's not like something good that happens to you. It's a terrible thing.
It is.
Okay, so let's just watch this because I'm forcing you all to watch it with me.
There is so much hatred directed at the trans community right now. It's everywhere. And I think the greatest weapon that I can contribute is trans joy in comedy and talking about hard, subjects. And
funny that Dylan Matthews would mention something about comedy, considering that I have not met a single woman who is funny.
Well, and also the fact that he cannot get hard again.
Yeah. Zero joy in that.
Really intricate moments of a transition and try to let everybody in to see that, I'm not a monster. I'm not somebody that, is trying to do anything but be myself and be happy.
And I don't even have to say she's not a monster. She's a fucking clown. I mean, not even she. He is a clown.
That, is trying to do anything but be myself and be happy.
They're ready for this. They're ready for this.
Love ya.
Thank you, everybody, for that support. How do you stay on your own path? Where do you draw boundaries? Where do you find the strength to keep being the joy?
Well, I think having my chosen family and the people that I love to take care of me. But I also think there's something just about...
Pause it right here. The chosen family. Like, look, this, when you're listening to a lot of these people talk, a lot of the verbiage they like to use has a lot to do with cultism. Chosen family, chosen,
right.
that type of stuff. Because when it comes to, especially in schools right now, they're saying if a child comes out as a different gender, they hide it from their parents. So when she says chosen family, that means, for instance, if her parents weren't supportive of this, they're gone, cut out from the life.
Just like his penis.
Exactly right.
Just
and that
like
is what they tried to teach in fucking grade school, is that if you have something that you don't want your parents to know, tell me and we won't tell your parents. We have to be secretive of it. Because if people are not supportive of your ideology, then you need to cut them out of your life. And where do you see the same type of fucking these same type of scenarios happen? You see them happen in cults. You see them happen in places like Scientology. You see them happen in places like Mormonism. You see them happen in places like Jehovah's Witnesses. You see them happen in all these different type of places that are very, very cult-like. Because if you don't have ISIS, you don't have people that support it, you need to cut them out of your life, or fly a plane into a
building, right? So what you're saying here is that Dylan Mulvaney is actually going to cause the next 9/11.
Probably, but also that very supportive and
he knocked down one tower already.
Yes, he did.
That being his penis.
Mm-hmm. And then also the Twin Towers. So
which are his balls. 2 balls.
Exactly.
making sure that you don't put something out there before you're ready, and really just surrounding yourself with good people. It's interesting because I look at someone like you and I can't imagine anybody disliking you.
Oh, please. Do you know?
All right. When have you ever watched another woman get on their knees and didn't suck dick?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the patriarchy is hitting 100 for 100.
100.
We
yeah,
get
look,
we get all kinds of women
honestly,
bowing to men.
We should lean into this and just be like, I want to thank men for being better women than women.
Exactly right.
Because look, if we can do it, nothing's stopping you. We literally said men hate women so much that we decided to become them so that we could show them how to do their jobs. Show me the lie. Show me the fucking lie. All right, let's watch the rest of this.
Do you want to know, ironically, who dislikes me the most sometimes?
Who?
Myself.
Oh, me too. Oh. But I guess, you've asked me now, like.
Just look at that. Jay, imagine it's 2023 and Drew Barrymore, E.T. star. Yes, E.T. Okay, she's that old. That's from what, fucking 50 years ago? Starts celebrating a man for chopping off his dick. Couldn't be me. Couldn't be me. I couldn't imagine that.
Nope.
You've asked me, like, what I would do to combat the hate, right?
Yeah.
But what do you do?
Okay, that's a great question. Now, I started...
You've been doing it a little longer than I have.
Well, it's funny because when I was a kid, you starting with E.T., it was the first time I was introduced to film reviews, which are basically social media.
Yes.
But I felt like all these reviews, and could be a...
By the way, what's going on here with right up there? He spends so much money on cosmetic surgery, he couldn't even get a pair of tits. Okay.
Gonna get them right. Nope.
I mean, what kind of woman do you think you are? Okay. If you and I were like decided to become trans, we would get the biggest pair of bazongas that we could get. Okay. Because we know that any man, if they were a woman, would want to have the biggest pair of titties because we get to look at them all the time. We get to play around with them. Who doesn't want that? I guess unless you're Dylan Mulvaney.
And the funny thing is, like, everybody loved her in ET. Like, I don't think there was any bad review of Drew on ET.
Yeah, except that she sucked.
Charlie's Angels, it could be an E.T., it could be The Wedding Singer, everything
it could be
between.
from roles I made millions of dollars over. It could be from like when I made, hundreds of thousands of dollars. It could have been when I made hundreds of millions of dollars. It could have been when I made tens of millions of dollars.
You read reviews, just like on social media, you are pretty much guaranteed a 50-50. Some like it, some don't. So you've got to be willing to bear down and brace for it. And then
pat your tears with $100 bills.
Rory Metzger on Local says, surprised Siraj hasn't said wood at any point during the last 10 minutes.
He's whacking off screen. You can't see it.
It's because share your most problematic wood. Here's mine.
Picking your battles too.
Yes.
And sometimes I think the greatest response can just be in the next joyous video or in the next win that you have.
Although I would say this, I mean, this would never shut the fuck up. No. Like, it'd just be a long, continuous exercise and listening and trying to do the deed. That's my most problematic would.
Because that just goes to show that, like, you are continuing on, and whatever that those people are projecting onto you, it isn't actually penetrating.
I couldn't agree more, because another thing that you're making me realize is to not carry on in spite of others.
I'm sorry, I just realized that I'm sitting on the floor with Drew.
I'm so happy to be doing this. Thank you for joining me on the floor. The floor always feels safer.
It feels nice.
Why does it feel safer on the floor, Drew?
As a woman on your knees on the floor.
Is it because she's so used to having her back on it? I mean, I don't know. One last thing, and this is actually from earlier today, because on March 14th in the year of Allah 2023, we were blessed with this interview of Joe Biden and Cal Penn, which, by the way, hold on 1 second, Jay. Today I learned that Cal Penn is actually gay. I didn't realize this. Did you know this?
I had no idea.
Okay, so Cal Penn is asking President Biden about gay marriage, and let's just fucking watch it. Shoot me. This will be the last thing we talk about before we head out, because we're both dead tired.
Every auntie and uncle that I have is beyond disappointed that there hasn't been a wedding yet. But Cardi B is going to marry us, apparently officiate our wedding, which would be nice. But my question for you, Mr. President, is you codified support for same-sex marriage and interracial marriages like ours. I'm curious.
Codified. Yes, Joe Biden did that, right?
Yeah, he was the one.
After spending 50 years campaigning against it through the Defense of Marriage,
he codified it.
Codified that shit. He also codified. Yep. He also wrote the 1994 crime bill that pretty much all the lips despise now. But don't let.
Yeah, he codified it.
Curious what your evolution was like on marriage equality, and what the federal government might be able to do to protect LGBTQ Americans, especially trans kids who are dealing with all these regressive.
There are no trans kids. Fuck this. There are no. Oh my God. Go ahead.
Popping up right now.
I can remember exactly.
Get ready for this. This is just behold the beauty of this segment
right now.
I can remember exactly where my epiphany was.
Okay.
I hadn't thought much about it, to tell you the truth. And I was a senior in high school.
Hear that? Senior in high school, he had this epiphany. Senior in high school, okay? What do you think he's going to say next? Okay? Senior in high school. This is like in the 1800s that he was a senior in high school.
A senior.
This is when buying and trading black people was still legal. Okay? This is his epiphany.
And my dad was dropping me off. I remember about to get out of the car, and I looked to my right, and two well-dressed men in suits kissed each other.
High school, senior in high school. He saw. Look, they could have been Arab, and it would have been culturally acceptable that they're not gay. Okay, they're literally father-son, kiss on the cheek.
Right.
A
senior in high school. This motherfucker in the Senate and also as vice president was codifying what marriage meant,
which was between a man
and a woman. This motherfucker is saying this out here, and you're not going to have one reporter, not from the New York Times, because Maggie is like too deep in Trump's asshole to actually be on a beat of the president of the United States like she was during the 4 years of Trump to try and call out every fucking lie he said. You have none of them coming up and actually calling out this motherfucker on his bullshit. Absolute garbage. And we're going to hear this garbage go on for another minute.
I mean, they gave each other a kiss. And then one went, look.
But Joe, do you know if they gave each other tongue? Did they sniff each other's hair? Did they grab each other's crotches or asses?
He wouldn't know that because they
I
weren't
would need details.
9-year-old girls. He wouldn't know that unless they were 9-year-old girls.
That's true. He doesn't pay attention to that unless they're under the age of 10.
Looked like he was heading to the DuPont building. One looked like he headed to the Hercules Corporation building. And I'll never forget, I turned and looked at my dad. He said, Joey, it's simple. They love each other.
His dad said it. His dad said it. His dad.
Who is Is his dad fucking Robert E. Lee? I mean, what the? There's no.
His dad probably owned slaves, like when he was
Of
alive.
all the things that didn't
what
happen,
it was. Oh
of all
my
the things
God.
that didn't happen, this didn't happen the
dad.
most.
His dad.
This did not happen the most. Okay?
look, son, they love each other. His dad. Oh my God.
So what if they slip
Holy
each other a
shit.
tongue? So what if they
Holy
suck?
fuck.
Be like, Joe, it's simple. They suck each other's dicks. They eat each other's asses. There's not much to explain here.
Holy shit. His dad.
It's simple. No, I'm not joking.
Oh, you hear that? He's not joking.
He's not joking.
This
He's
is what
lying.
his dad told him.
He's not joking. He's lying.
This is what his dad, who is a veteran of the Revolutionary War, said to him. Unreal.
It's simple. They love each other.
And Kumar's just
And
like,
it's never been.
Kumar's just eating that shit up. Look at this. Look at
these
that.
people are fucking retarded. They're
They love
so
each other.
retarded. So retarded.
It's simple. No, I'm not joking.
Look at that. He's completely eating that shit up. Yeah. Not to mention the fact that Kumar, aka Kal Penn, was in the fucking Obama administration. And he's interviewing on behalf of Comedy Central. What the fuck?
And not only that, like he knows what this motherfucker said while he was in the Obama administration. Like the fuck?
God. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, Jay. Between the two of them,
Every auntie and uncle.
wait, hold up. Between Joe Biden and Kal Penn, Biden's the bigger faggot. Right?
100%.
It's never been. It's never been. It's just that simple. It doesn't matter.
It's just so simple.
Whether it's same sex or a heterosexual couple, you should be able to be married.
Honestly, I'm starting to think that Joe Biden banged more dudes than Kal Penn ever did.
Dude, it is absolutely fucking horseshit that we sit here and listen to this, and then you have no reporter, no article, no nothing calling him out on this bullshit. None of it. The thing is, the Biden administration has lied as much, if not more, than the Trump administration, and we have nobody calling this shit out.
Well, what's fascinating is like this is so arbitrary, it's so benign. Like no one has to, like, you don't have to lie about this shit, right? Like anyone can go back and watch the tapes. Go back as recently as him in the Obama administration, which is I guess less than a decade ago. God, fuck, I'm getting old. And you can see what his record was on fucking same-sex marriage and what he was saying back then. It's just insane.
What is the problem? So listen to your auntie and your uncle. Get married. Do it now. Don't wait.
By the way, Indians and South Asians are arguably one of the more conservative ethnic groups, and having a gay son or daughter, if it doesn't lead to honor killing, at least leads to excommunication.
100%.
Or forced transgender surgery.
Absolutely.
Transgender kids is a really harder day.
I am going to throw. I'm going to throw my fucking computer against the wall.
We are going to jihad so fucking hard. There is no
God.
such thing as jihad children. None. I mean,
as jihad children? No, Jay, there is such a thing as jihad children.
As trans.
We must teach our children jihad. That's the only way. Mothers must teach their sons and daughters of jihad.
What's going on in Florida?
Oh, what's going on in Florida?
As my mother would say, close to sinful. I mean,
what's happening in Florida, Joe? They're not teaching kids about under the age of 9 about sex. Oh my God, that's so close. That's sinful. Oh, that's because Joe Biden wants them to know about sex, so the kids understand what he's going to do to them, right?
Yep.
Essentially, smelling the hair is just getting a whiff is just the start.
It's just terrible what they're doing. It's not like, a kid wakes up one morning and says, I decided I want to become a man, or I want to become a woman, or I want to change.
No, that's exactly what's happening.
It's exactly what it is. And then we are affirming kids who are pretending that they're a girl, that they actually are a girl. We are affirming it. It's sick. Absolutely disgusting.
I mean, what are they thinking about here? They're human beings. They love, they have feelings, they have inclinations that are, I mean, it just to me is.
When people say that there are no trans kids, it doesn't mean that we are saying that these people don't exist. It does not mean that. It does not mean that. And for them to say this stuff is so intellectually dishonest. It is garbage. And I will never, ever have people try to use that as a way to silence the discussion around this stuff. I am not saying a person who is 9 years, a child who's 9 years old plays with dolls doesn't exist. He does. Right. I am saying what you are trying to force onto this child is disgusting. That them being trans is not real. What is happening is you as an adult is forcing that onto that child, and it is an abuse on that child.
So Rory Metzger says Joe's lying. It wasn't two other men. It was him and Corn Pop.
True.
I have my theories, Jay. You want to see my theory? After this video, I'll show you.
No, it's cruel. And the way we do it is we make sure we pass legislation like we passed on same-sex marriage. You mess with that, you're breaking the law, and you're going to be held accountable.
Thank you,
Fuck
sir.
you.
I also can
That
tell
is
that
not
like some.
that is not cruel. It is not cruel to say what you're doing to these children is bullshit. What you as an adult is doing to these children is abuse. What is cruel is actually convincing this child to go on irreversible hormone therapy that will make them unable to perform or unable to be pregnant or unable to actually have children and actually be able to live their life as a normal human being is cruel. And then go all the way to convincing them to chop off their healthy body parts, being their dick, being their breasts, being whatever it is, to mutilate them in order for you to pretend like you are some morally good person. It's a narcissistic. It's so narcissistic.
You know how
it is so fucking garbage.
You know how like black and brown people talk about like this idea of like white saviors and like you don't need a white person to come save you like all the time. This is cis saviorship. Okay, this is basically people with fully functioning dicks and balls and ovaries and titties telling kids, hey, you want to be a woman but you were born a boy, here, let's affirm that gender. And the same with, vice versa. I just want to highlight here real quick what my theory on was. Okay, so this is Tom Elliott's tweet talking about how he can remember how Biden can remember exactly when his epiphany was on supporting gay marriage. And that, going back to his quote, that when he was a senior in high school, his dad dropped him off. And he remembered he got out of the car, looked to his right, and two well-dressed men in suits kissed each other. Who are those two well-dressed men, Jay?
Who are they? There you go.
Beautiful. Brave and courageous. Brave and courageous.
You know what you should have done?
What?
You should have shown Obama and Michelle kissing each other.
Oh my God. Wow, I can't believe I missed that opportunity. That's good. That's so good. So we got through as many things as we could tonight, and I know we spent a lot of time talking about SVB and Signature Bank and the banking crisis, and it's important, and obviously it's all by design. All of this shit is by design. If I feel like we have to rename the show, it's by design, but right. That's the unofficial name of the show. I wanted to go over the 20-year anniversary of the Iraq invasion that David Frum wrote, but I haven't even read the article, and I basically am about to crash. So we'll save that for the next stream, which I think I'll be doing the list stream on Thursday. And
yes, and then I'm gonna try and do
some gaming.
gaming. So it's going to be I'm going to finish Dead Space on stream. Like I'm going to make sure that that's where and you picked a you picked a bad one, Elden Ring. You're gonna finish that like 2 years from now.
I really am. But you know, it's good content, and me playing as Jen Rubin 69 has become I grow fond of it. Roy Mesker on Locals says, fun fact, Joe Biden was sworn into the Senate 5 years before Ron DeSantis was born. Wouldn't that be wild seeing those two in the presidential
go at it? Oh,
election?
That would be so good. So good.
So wild. Normally this is our Ask Us Anything segment, but Jay and I are beat to shit, and I don't know if we can actually answer any questions. But we want to thank all of you for watching and tuning in. Hit that like and subscribe button. Hit that join button for our Locals community, where you can get a lot of fun perks like harassing Carl. And obviously don't forget to join in the link before Thursday midday East, to join the Habibi March Madness pool. It's a $10 buy-in.
That's how long I have until I can make my bracket.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because I have no idea.
So you have till Thursday. The play-ins are happening tonight, Tuesday, March 14th, 2023, Pi Day. And yeah, let us know in the comments. And thank you to Spencer Sachs, our producer. Thank you to Ben Morrissey, our listener, for joining and helping us. And Jay, thanks to you for enlightening all of us with your economics education, which didn't go to waste.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Yes, this is a little bit more tame, but it's also, we haven't done a show in like 2 weeks, so forgive us. So we'll get a little bit more looser next week, inshallah. So for the Habibi Bros, I'm Siraj Hashmi.
I'm Jay Kobbe.
And we'll see you next time on Habibi Power. Peace it. Masalama.